Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, James Anderson, brought to you by the NFFC. And Rob DiPietro, dead pull hitter, is joining me today for a fun Mets episode. We're going to do a Mets starting pitcher draft for the rest of the season. We're going to talk about all their interesting young infield pieces and how those are all going to fit, and see if Rob's got any takes on the established guys at the end. But thanks for joining me, man. I don't know if you're like near the top in any of the overalls because I haven't had any reason to look up there myself. But I know you're ahead of me in the leagues we're in, so I hope you're having a good season.
Thank you for having me, James. As always, this is always a highlight of my podcasting years. So truly honored to have you to be here with you. And yeah, no, not atop any of the overalls either. So again, I haven't been given a chance to look at the top. But Champions League, I'm crawling up there. I've been in the top 25 for the last 3 weeks. So I'm just trying to scratch and claw. It's funny because it's only like 70 points away from being in the top 14, but it feels like it's such a far 70 to get. So yeah, but everything's well, man. Can't complain.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, just the fact that you're top 25 in the CLQ, I mean, that means you must be doing something right. That's a big time lift and a big time level of consistency required for those three contests. So be pulling for you to get up into that top 15.
Yep. Thank you.
But like I said, we're going to start things off here, and Rob and I are going to do a quick little draft here, and we're going to draft Mets starting pitchers from the start of based on how much you'd want to roster them on a draft champions roster from the start of the next lineup period, so June 23rd through the end of the regular season. So the 50 team or 50 player draft and hold. So you don't have to plug these guys in and leave them in there for every start, but they'd be an option for you to use for the rest of the season. And I thought this would be interesting just because it's, the Mets are a good team. They've got a lot of talent, but I just think their starting pitching is it's very sort of flat. It's kind of just an interesting crop of guys for a contending team to have. And Rob, I'll give you the first pick. So which Mets starting pitcher would you most like to have on a draft champions roster starting on June 23rd through the end of the season?
I think this is pretty easy for me. I think it's David Peterson.
Yeah.
It's so funny because a lot of times people ask me like, well, what is he doing good? Like it's K- walk is below league average. The swinging strike is right at league average. Just a lot of average things. He doesn't like completely beat guys in the zone. But right now he's top 20 in the league in innings pitched and 2.6 ERA, 1.19 WHIP. Just watching him and hearing his journey of coming back from the bad hip and realizing he said how long he was hurt for, like maybe even longer than a year, and just now still getting stronger, I think. But he does such an amazing job of getting the ball on the ground. I think we all look at the new bat metrics for a lot of batters, obviously, but some of the pitching side stuff can really tell a story. Like he's way better than league average in allowing pulled air balls, so he's not getting that damage that can be done by pulling it lift in the air. Just air percentage alone, 42%. The league average is 55.6. And it's just all like a lot of ground balls too. Same thing, like if you look at the pulled ground ball percentage, it's 30%. So guys are like, when they do go pull side, it's all on the ground. So it's easy to gobble up for a really solid infield. And the pitch level stuff itself it's pretty interesting. It just his sinker and changeup do a good job of like pretty much having the same kind of movement toward the plate. I think that's what helped those pitches. And I was like messing around on Alex Chamberlain's leaderboard, and he has like those kind of like over expected movement results, like that dead zone factor. And both of his fastballs, the sinker and the four seamer, gets less expected movement, like really upper percentile of the league. So maybe there's something about his pitches that the batters aren't picking up. But I just give him right now, just for mostly, I think he's going to be the healthiest pitcher, like that's throwing the most. So I think it's easy for me to pick him first.
Yeah, and the great thing about Peterson, like beyond just sort of how he's giving hitters a hard time really squaring up the ball, like that's part of why he's been such a length monster. Like he's just going 6, 7, had the complete game recently. And he's also kind of a giant killer. Like I've got a ton of David Peterson, and I think I sat him for both Dodgers starts in some leagues. I definitely sat him for the first Dodgers start in a bunch of leagues, and was unfazed by the Dodgers lineup. I think he faced them twice in like 2 weeks and did a great job. So I just kind of think he's, I don't want to say anyone's just like set it and forget it, but like for a pitcher with his like steamer rest of season has him for 11.8 K minus walk. For a pitcher with that projection, he's pretty close to set it and forget it. Like it's pretty impressive.
I totally agree with you there. He may not seem like it. Like even in this 2-step, some people ask me, "Are you gonna still throw Peterson out?" It's the Braves, it's the Phillies. I'm like, yeah. I mean, what are we doing? We're not throwing him out here.
Yeah, if you've got 9 better options than that, I'd love to see him. I mean, I don't.
I agree.
Okay, so I guess that leaves me with this kind of interesting mix of guys who, maybe their best starts have already happened, some guys who are on the IL. I think I'll go with Clay Holmes here.
Okay.
I think he's kind of slowing down a little bit. Strikeouts aren't really a big thing with him either. The whole thing of maybe they transition him to like the bullpen in the second half or something like that, I just don't think it's going to happen because of the injuries they're dealing with. But he's a really good whip guy, really good ratio guy, and just on this team, he's a good source for wins. So it's not all that sexy, but I dig Clay Holmes.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not all that sexy, but like when you're carrying like a whip almost underneath 1 over the last 5-6 starts, he's and I agree with you. He's not going anywhere. He's I think there's a lot more concern built up by like the base, like us on the outside, of him being able to sustain. He has such an easy like motion. It doesn't look like he's putting so much stress on his arm. I think he'll be good to go for the rest of the season.
All right. Who are you going with third here?
Oh, I'm going to bank on Mr. Sean Manaea coming back relatively soon. And even if I'm getting like 60 innings rest of the season versus, someone else's 80, I think I'm going to just bank on him coming back to last year's status. I think what we saw, what he did with the Mets last year, was really impressive. The Mets, just overall, like I know you mentioned that, up front, but the Mets lead in starting pitching the RA at 2.95, and they're just doing really something like special with all these kind of low warish pitchers that they bring over that they make a lot better. And Manaea, I just think like last year, if you just look at overall his body of work, and if you could just return like 80% of who he was last year, I think for any kind of 12-team OC or 15-team main event kind of league, he's going to be truly close to as steady forget it as possible.
Yeah, Manaea, he's made 3 rehab starts at high A, I believe, and he's been all right. He had the middle one was pretty good. The other 2 were so, but at least it's he's coming back from an oblique, which is less scary to me than some of these other injuries. And I mean, like Steamer rest of season has like a 14.2 K minus walk, which is better than most of these guys. So I think, Manaea, seeing if we have him in the starters grid yet. We've tentatively got him returning in 2 Tuesdays, and he'd be home for Milwaukee. Kind of got him with a 6-man that week, so it wouldn't be a 2-step necessarily, but after that he might be at Baltimore. So I think if you are in shallower leagues, home leagues, or something like that, especially if there's an IL spot and Manaea's out there, definitely scoop him up now. Do you think he's a guy that's going to command what type of fab bid do you think he will command when he does come back, if he's just kind of like so-so in that first start?
Yeah, it's interesting, James. I've been really trying to neutralize how I feel about some of the rehab starts and stuff like that, because it just even like these marginal guys like JT Jin, he comes off, he just had bad rehab starts. He comes off the IL and he's throwing P's, and it's so hard to gauge what these guys are trying to work on as they're getting back.
Yeah,
I think Manaea is probably gonna, wherever he's available in 15s, probably around $100, right?
Yeah.
Minimum. I mean, maybe I'm being a little too optimistic, and maybe if that's the case too, maybe those owners aren't giving enough respect to what he did last year with 184 Ks, and 182 innings. So I'm probably thinking around that range.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I look at with the rehab starts is just like, are you able to kind of build up from like start to start from like an inning standpoint?
Good point.
So I think, as long as he's just kind of, up like 85 pitches, maybe in that first start goes like 4 2/3, 5 innings, something like that. I think he's it's just so hard to find good starters on good teams. Like they don't come available. So
you just nailed it right there. That's the biggest thing. It's just continuing to chase guys that we don't know about, through fab. I've been burned this year tons of times by chasing like the Ryan Gustos and Easton Lucases of the world. And there's been some other guys that have helped me too, but it's tough. It's a tough practice. Like you said, good team and Citi Field is a great match for a pitcher.
Absolutely. Rob DiPietro and I are drafting Mets starting pitchers for how much we would want to roster them on a draft champions roster starting next lineup period through the end of the season. David Peterson, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, the first 3 picks.
This is a big pick, James. This could change the whole outlook of this season that we're playing here. Pivotal pick you're making, right?
I mean, this is big, yeah. Oof. Well, I think I'm gonna. Oh man. Let's see. So I'm weighing. There's Griffin Canning sitting out there. There's Kodai Senga on the IL with a hamstring strain sitting out there. There's Paul Blackburn sitting out there. There's Tyler McGill. Do I believe Tyler McGill when he says there's no structural damage and he might be back soon?
Don't believe the players, James. That's it.
I think this is going to be the boringest pick you could make. I'm just going to take Griffin Canning, and at worst he's like a home streamer for me, and bad matchups, that type of thing. I'm not happy about it, but I'll take Griffin Canning.
I'm not happy about it. All right, that's an interesting pick. I was taking Manaea under the assumption that you were going to take him in the second round. I
would have taken Manaea if he'd been there.
Yeah. So I'm glad that little ploy worked, because I'll get my guy back for this one here. And I'm a little nervous about the hamstring injury for Senga because of the leg injury he had last year, and it just seems like lower half wise. You watch him cover first base, watch him get off the base. He's not like he doesn't model well in my Athlete Plus model. And also too, like, I think we should just ban pitchers covering first. or at least teams should just start teaching, like, just let the first baseman try to take it, like most all the time. It just doesn't, I admire Kenley Jansen. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but sometimes when he goes to cover first and the ball's nowhere near him, he doesn't even try. He doesn't jump. He just knows. He's like, like this. I am not doing that. Like that, my body cannot handle it. But Senga, I mean, I don't know, James. Like, can we get respect on this guy's name? Like, we hear Yamamoto and Sasaki, like they're all over the X trend lines like crazy. And this dude had a 2.53 ERA in his first 245 innings as a major leaguer with 280 strikeouts. I know the underlying metrics say he's not that good, but watching him, he is that good. Like, he is just, I mean, I almost took him, like, I wanted to take him where I took Sean Manaea, but I could kind of have a feeling you were going to not pick Senga. So
Yeah.
that worked well for me. But no, seriously, like, this guy's just been really awesome, just watching him, seeing what he could do in the beginning of the games where he just struggles a little bit or the command is a little off. And like, I think previously I would have felt a little bit nervous about that, but he powers through games. You're talking about the length that he's just consistent sixes across the board, just limiting like hard contact, and just has a knack for finding his way through runners on second and third with one out. Just those kind of things, those little baseball things that he's been really well at. And I think hopefully that this hamstring injury is just a little blip, and he goes back to carrying this, 1.47 ERA this year, James. 70 Ks, 7 wins. It's wild. Impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he's way better than Canning. I just I'm kind of thinking it might be, I don't know, 5-6 weeks before he's back, and then maybe he tweaks it again, and then he's down again. Like, I mean, I've got like I had a team like recently where or this past Sunday, like I dropped Bryce Miller, Ryan Weathers, and Justin Martinez all on the same team, and I've got like those guys on my like DC benches. Like, I don't want another big red guy sitting there.
Good point.
The fourth pick, but I mean, if Senga just pitches 60 more innings this year, I think that's the right pick there.
What do you got?
I'm gonna be a wuss again. I'm gonna take Paul Blackburn.
Okay, I like this.
Paul Blackburn, actually, Steamer has him with a 13.7 K minus walk rest of the season. Quite a bit better than Canning, better than Holmes, better than Peterson. I'm not sure if that's like in a relief role or what, but Blackburn, he's going to have maybe a 2-step this upcoming week, home for Atlanta, then at Pittsburgh. Then the following week, he'd be home for the Yankees. Following week, he'd be at Kansas City. I've always kind of liked Blackburn a little bit. I have him on a decent amount of draft champions teams just because of the Mets landing spot, just under the hope they would make like 10, 15 starts this year. Again, just kind of like a home streamer type, picking on the bad teams. Definitely want him out of my lineup against the good teams, but just a solid DC piece for the rest of the season.
I like that pick. Yeah. His if you use on the projections on Fangraphs, there's like a little drop down for like as starting pitcher or no split or as relief pitcher. It is a little different for Blackburn as a starter, like it's 12% K minus walk versus overall 14. But I do like this pick because, again, with the Mets, they showed a little bit like immediately quick tweaks to him, like ditch the four-seamer that consistently gets blasted, right? Just say see you later, like Red Sox style. And then just like the other orientations that they maneuver these pitches with, like move them on the mound. All of his pitches are a little bit like more lifted up than last year, like kind of getting a little more ride. So I just like what the Mets can do with these kind of pitchers, and I love Blackburn in general. I think all the time in DCs because he's just that kind of guy. This year I didn't have any, James, because I was terrified of his back. Like he had like 19 shots in his back or something like that. It was reported in the offseason. I don't know if I could take this guy, although I love him. Your stats would count too if he gets traded, right? I'm just making sure. I just want to know.
Oh,
I don't want no
absolutely.
surprises at the end of the. Okay. He is a good candidate though to get traded if they do get healthy by that trade deadline. But I don't know if that comes like. Even if he does like a kind of like a long man piggyback to one of these guys who have a bad start from time to time, like you saw him now, like a 3-inning save. I think he's capable of that too, like kind of like a Jose Butto role, and that would really even be playing well in a DC. So I like that all around for Blackburn. All right, James, I'm going to go with the damaged goods in the elbow.
Yeah.
I just can't ignore the 18% K- walk on the season. It's just been a 3.55 Sierra. That's some of the best marks across any starter that you'll find. Not too many guys, if you filter around that are putting up those kind of numbers. So this will be my upside. Actually, you know what? I'm rostering a lot of risk. Dave McDonald's not going to be happy with me. Neither will Babs. Babs will like dismiss this team already, saying too much injury risk between McGill and Manaea and Senga. James, I'm taking all the injured guys, but that's fine. I like Tyler McGill. I think he's just like if he does need to tailor down anything, there's obviously that concern that he can go back into the bullpen. But he's also the guy with that option left, right? Blackburn doesn't have one. Canning doesn't have one. DP, like he's not going anywhere. But I'm just mentioning all the guys. Like if they do want to get cute or have to get cute and making moves to fit the rosters, like McGill is a candidate to go down there if they need to, however need to move their team around. So that's that worry too, and obviously the elbow. But he just had a hell of a year, man. Like I think even if he only pitches like 30, 40 more innings, I think even from your original draft champions teams, he's done like a lot to like bring you back the value of where he was picked.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fantasy Pros just gave you an F for your Mets starting pitcher draft.
Oh, they did 100%. Yeah, Ariel hates it. Absolutely.
No, I mean, I think the Mets are probably my most rostered starting pitcher by team. Like I probably got more Mets on draft champions than any other group of starters. Of course, I've got no Canning and no Senga and no Manaea, but I've got just bushels of the other guys, and especially a certain other damaged goods guy who might return as a reliever. Tons of him. I think here. I think I might take a prospect here.
Really, man. Oh, you really faded your guy. I thought you were going to be all over a guy, James, that you love.
I think I'm going to take Nolan McLean.
Nice. Okay. Love it.
And, McLean, all these other Mets pitching prospects that get the bump to AAA, they suck there right away. Tidwell was terrible at AAA last year. Sproat's been terrible. McLean, though, he's been great. He's kind of doing his like best David Peterson impression at AAA. He's got kind of louder stuff than Peterson long term, but like that'd be sort of, I'd be hoping for just weak contact and going 5+ innings is what I'd be hoping for if he got the call. I don't know if they're even thinking about that. That might not even be something they would do until like September, but I think he's ready. I mean, he's been going 5+ pretty much every time. He's got a 2.79 ERA, 1.14 WHIP over his last 7 starts at AAA. So I think McLean would be the guy. If they were to go to any pitching prospect, he'd be the one I'd want them to turn to in the short term, I think. But really could have gone any direction here. This is just kind of taking a shot at this point.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Yeah, he kind of shot up. He's made people forget about how bad Sproat's doing, like you mentioned. I'm looking at some of my two DC shares of Sproat, and I'm like, ugh, not even gonna get a chance to use this year because he's just been not good. But yeah, playing looks pretty solid. I watched a couple of his starts and a lot of great movement on his pitches. Like nothing super overpowering, but you could go to like 5 or 6 different pitches and to each handedness. Love that kind of combination.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna keep pouring on the risk, James. All right. I'm just gonna keep doing it and take our guy Frankie Montas.
Yeah.
Who I was shocked you didn't take because you love this guy. You love Montas. I think that tells me how much you really maybe came off of him.
Well, look, I mean, is there any reason I might have come off of him? Is it the fact that he's about to exhaust his rehab stint and he's got an ERA over like 12 over his last 5 rehab appearances, and they're already talking about bringing him back as a reliever? That might be why I'm off of him a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a good reason to be off. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I'm ignoring ERA, James. Like the velocity.
Look at me, a sucker, citing a 13 ERA.
I'm practicing some real true optimism here with him. No, I just like the velocity down there has been fine. We've had some readings from that and some obviously the StatCast stuff, and the velocity's good. The pitch movements are good. You can already see too the Mets kind of did a little tweak with him. I don't know if that's gonna continue going forward, but we saw what the Brewers did at the end of last season with him, and the Mets have altered that to their primary focus. But it'll be interesting to see how he plays out. I still love the stuff. I know there's been talks about him going in as a reliever, but he was one of the bigger signs. He's kind of the guy that replaced Severino. And just hopefully just gets 5 or 6 innings of 3 earned runs. That's it. Just get it to the bullpen kind of dude. But that 27% came on his walk from the last half of 2024 is really sticking to me. And also too, I just don't believe that he won't be better than Griffin Canning. Not Griffin Canning for the whole year, but Griffin Canning from his last 5 starts of a 1% came on his walk. Like that Griffin Canning, the 6.75 ERA guy. I think that Montas will be better than that sooner than later. Hopefully, if you're a Met fan, you want to see Montas be in that rotation.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd love for this to be the right pick. Then I could use him on my
on your team. Yeah. I see. You're just diversifying. This is what
I'm trying to diversify here. Look, there's nobody really that should get taken here now at the 10th pick. But just to wrap things up, I'll just take Jonah Tong just to have some fun.
Nice.
And just to make Uncle Ted happy. And I know Uncle Ted wanted Jonah Tong to be the first pick in the chat. So.
Oh, did he? Okay, cool.
Yeah, Jonah Tong, obviously still at AA. Nothing left to prove there really. And I don't think I'd probably say we don't even see him up this year if forced to choose, but you never know. I mean, he's been just so dominant, and it's possible that he just like leapfrogs all the guys at AAA in July or August or something like that. So
what's his realistic inning pitch for you, James, to overall? Like he had 113 last year, 60 so far this year. What do you think the Mets are gonna push to get with him?
Yeah, so that's like the reason I was sort of lower on him coming into the year is just like you watch him on like video and you read like what scouts say about him, and it's just he's very kind of slight and very just kind of seems like a gust of wind could knock him over, and so it's just kind of like how much workload can he handle? And yeah, like 59 in the 3rd innings, it's not a ton for a guy who's been like as dominant as him. So I think he's got to push up over 120 for me to feel like this was really a true like monster breakout season for him, because if he just finishes the year with 110, 115 again, we're not really building on anything. So I'd like to be able to dream on him as like a 160 inning starter instead of like a 135 inning starter. But the strikeouts are just so massive right now.
Absolutely.
It's definitely been a big positive season for Tong, but like the durability, like how much workload can he handle? That's really the main question left.
Yeah, and I think like as a Met fan, I think if we're forced to use him, things have gone maybe a little wrong, like with all the pitches we just talked about. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but if it does happen, I can envision, depending on how the moves they make in the bullpen at the trade deadline, they obviously need to not have to go to Reed Garrett all the time in the eighth, because that guy's just either lights out or just the worst reliever in the league. So I could see a little bit of that maybe in September. Short outings in the back of the bullpen, or even as a bridge guy, whatever. But again, hopefully the Mets don't need to force it. It's just like natural. Like, yeah, let's just make our team even better and throw them in there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't rule that out. Wouldn't rule that out with really any of their prize starting pitchers come like August, September. I know David Stearns likes to go that route with those guys. So
Yep.
That concludes our Mets starting pitcher draft. To recap, Rob had the first pick, and he went David Peterson. I went Clay Holmes, then Sean Manaea, Griffin Canning, Kodai Senga, Paul Blackburn, Tyler McGill, Nolan McLean, Frankie Montas, Jonah Tong. So, going through that exercise, Rob, like how are you feeling about the Mets starting pitching depth as it stands? And what do you expect them to do kind of at the deadline? You mentioned they might even trade from it. Can you picture them adding to it?
I think so. I mean, honestly, if all their guys are healthy, I know there's this thing that, oh, the Mets don't have the frontline starter, right? Well, I don't know, James. Like, I read off Senga's numbers. If you don't think that's frontline, I don't know what he needs to do, to tell you that it's frontline. Manaea showed he's a frontline starter. Yeah, it's not Blake Snell. It's like not Tyler Glasnow, right? But the Dodgers won last year without those guys, so I'm fine with these guys as leading the charge 100%. Like, if they're ready to battle and they're healthy, there's no reason to think that a Frankie Montas as your SP5 won't work out. And they've also can lengthen these guys out in the bullpen too. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know what they would trade up for. I see the Mets and Stearns as having a clear plan of what they want to do. They're not going to go out and sign Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, right? Stearns' route has been outwar you by signing Severino, Montas for $20 million a year and Griffin Canning for a bag of peanuts. And we're just going to put those guys in the lab and make them better than what we need to pay up for. And I think that works with the offense too, right? Got the second best barrel rate in the league, the best hard hit percentage in the league. Juan Soto's warming up. Mauricio could provide such a huge bottom of the lineup 2020 kind of upside guy. So I think like they could score enough runs and get it to got to strengthen the bullpen a little bit, obviously, right before Diaz. And I think they have a clear opportunity to make that move if they want to, with like a top line closer to put him in the eighth, or Ryan Helsley, a Felix Bautista, who knows? Any kind of guy. I'm sure they're calling around, see if those closers are available. Probably won't have to give up a ton to get them. They have so much depth that they could not give up the a lot to, and then just lower their overall talent in the minors. And I think the biggest possible move, honestly, James, is trading for Jarren Duran. I think the time is ripe right now for them if they want to. I don't know if the Red Sox are thinking that, but they could sure hell get a good package for him, and I would love to see him in the Met outfield. Kind of like would be like the next Nimmo to me in some regards, as a guy like that maybe could play a little center, but then needs to move off to left, like as he gets a little older, if they sign him, I don't know. I just love what he might be able to do for the Met lineup. That would be really crazy, but I think they can make it work if they want to give up those chips, or if they maybe don't want to, like a Luis Robert. I think that could be. I know he's a malcontent guy who's not hitting well, but it would be. I love Tyrone Taylor. I love the guy, but he's an outfielder 4 more than an outfielder 3. So I would love to pivot away from him having to play every single day in center.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So bolster that. Yeah, I mean it's the whole season. It seemed like they've been like one outfielder short. So that makes sense to me. All right, let's head to a quick message from our sponsor. The NFFC RotoWire Fantasy Football Online Championship is live. Play fantasy football against your favorite RotoWire experts on NFFC this football season. Jeff Erickson, Nick Whalen, and more will compete in the RotoWire NFFC Online Championship for a shot at $250,000. So, I don't play in the NFFC, but if I did, I'd probably want to join a league with Jeff Erickson or Nick Whalen. Sign up for a draft today at rotowire.com/high stakes. That's rotowire.com/high stakes. All right, back with the great Rob DiPietro, Deadpool hitter. Rob, I was pretty interested in Mark Vientos this season, especially earlier in draft season. And I, was that's not borne really any fruit. He's on the IL with a hamstring injury, and I didn't necessarily think the growth was going to just like be linear from like 2024. Like there's another level there, but like I just thought it was a really impressive season for a guy who's been young for all his levels and debuted as a pretty young player by like no defense slugger standards, and we know he's got that massive power in there, and the hit tool is a bit of an issue, but just seemed like a power bat that they weren't going to be able to take out of their lineup, at least to me, and that's just gone completely awry. What are your thoughts on Vientos and sort of what you expect from him when he does come back?
Yeah, I think, James, to maybe put it in perspective a little bit about maybe expectations versus like reality. Would you take a guess, or would you know off the top of your head how many homers he had through the end of June last year? Even if you don't know, that's my point.
I mean, like 7 or 8.
Yeah, he last year he showed so much in that second half, and to me the biggest thing was the playoffs. If anyone watched the playoffs and watched Vientos excel versus top level pitching, kind of offset by the mental mistakes at third base, which I think really eat into him a little bit. I think Vientos is going to come back, get his swing on, maybe not be as good and dominant or play as much as everyone wants him to. But I think in terms of being a part of the Met lineup as a DH, he's going to provide, I think everything around him should make him just realize that he doesn't have to carry it. He just has to find his groove again. I don't think it's too far away either. Like right before he got hurt, he was really starting to have better at bats. The thing is, like, he was so opposite right center field centric after Beltran had a good chat with him. That's how he took off last year, was one of the reasons. And I think he went too much into it, like he wasn't looking to drive anything to the pull side, and he started to show that he was able, like he wanted to do that again right before he got hurt. So again, for me, it's the biggest thing is the mental side of it. Like and also his body language is awful. Mendoza, spoke publicly about when they benched him for a couple games. He said he was getting too comfortable. So that's just that part of him has to get better. Whatever it was bothering him or why he's being that way, but he needs to realize that it's more than him, But I think he comes back, doesn't play all the time, but plays enough to provide some decent value in the power department.
Yeah, and he's still just 25.
Absolutely.
And he's been making, like the swing decisions have gotten better. The strikeouts are down. The contact's a little bit up. Like, he's definitely not giving up on him or anything.
No, not at all.
As things stand, probably a guy would still get back in on next year. Depends, if he finishes red hot and like the price is high again, like, maybe we'll see. But if he's just kind of okay even or just kind of mediocre, I would still probably get in because I would expect the price to be pretty low.
Right. Like if he lands somewhere, I don't know, where like Josh Young was this year, like a 230-ish, 240 range, I think there'll be a lot of interested people if he ends up with like, let's just say 18 to 20 homers this year,
Absolutely. You mentioned Ronny Mauricio. I love the upside with Mauricio. Got him for some like $120-ish bids a couple weeks ago.
All right.
In some spots. How do you sort of envision the like opening day, like infield for like next year? Like, where do you think Mauricio is like a really good bet to just become an everyday player for this team at like heading into next year?
Heading into next year, yeah, I would absolutely think that he's going to find his way into everyday PT. The thing for me is I think you even hear Keith Hernandez talk about it. I just like the way he plays third. I think he's got really, really soft hands. He's got a missile. He gets the balls like really good, like going to his left and right. I think there was one play too where I think Lindor, if you like, I slowed the screen down, I saw his face, and he made like oh wow, he got to that kind of play face, and I think that's what's going to gain the edge for him in playing third for this team. Is the defense again? Like Vientos made a lot of costly mistakes. He makes mental mistakes, physical mistakes playing third, so that's why I think clear lane for Mauricio to line up in the third base. What I love about him so far, and it's a very small sample, and but from like 2023 AAA to this year's AAA small sample, he really I think the one thing that prevented him from having this crazy upside, like we knew he had raw power, but he just hit a lot of balls on the ground. The launch angle was like 6.5 degrees, and this year it was like 13, 14 degrees. And then those air, that overall air mile per hour, the exit velocity on it was just really, really improved. So it's just, you see this raw, talented guy getting better again, going through whatever the Mets are putting through for all their player development. And it makes me really excited for him. Like I know the fantasy guys right now getting some days off here and here, and we're really hyper focused on every one of their plate appearances. Right? When you pay that much money, and you're like, oh, Mauricio second and third, and he struck out. Like to where to be like a regular guy, you wouldn't be watching that plate appearance, but you spent this much money on this player, so you want to see him come through for that. But for me too, I think right now he's just putting himself too much in a hole. He's way too passive. He's not taking those first or second pitches that are just dead zone, and he should just start being aggressive on those. Like his swing decisions aren't lacking, and like he's chasing all the time. He's just chasing when he puts himself behind. And I think once he gets aggressive on that, someone will pull him aside and be like, "Hey, you don't have to be Juan Soto. Like you could swing, and that'll take off." But I'm super excited for him.
Yeah, it was that it was that showing at AAA, that tiny sample that kind of pushed me to kind of really go for him. And yeah, I'm not, maybe I'm just, my teams aren't good enough for me to be living and dying with every at bat. But I'm not worried about it at all. I've got him on like a bench for this Monday through Thursday period. I'm not worried about it.
Did you get him in OCs too, James, or like 15s and 12s?
Did I get him in any 12s? I think I think I got him in. I think I got him in a 15 and a 12, maybe two 15s. But I mean, I think he's a great option for both of those formats.
Yep, me too.
So once he gets going, like he'll just be a guy that you leave in there.
Absolutely.
What about like Brett Baty, Luis Angel Acuna? What are your thoughts on just how they fit into this team long term? Do you think they could be traded? Are you kind of done with Baty? Where are you at on those guys?
Oh, no, I'm not done with Baty at all. Like, he's shown me more this year than any other year. Not only like defensively too, at third base he's got a lot better, but his ability to play second has been pretty impressive. Just showing that versatility. I think that up at the bat he just looks a lot more comfortable. There's been some like swings with him. So obviously, if you're hyper focused on everything he's doing, you're gonna find those peaks and valleys of him, getting really hot and getting really cold. But I think that what we're seeing from him is a little bit of a growth year. He's still super young. His 90th percentile EV is in the 81st percentile. The pulled fly balls are still very strong. For him, it's just another guy with swing decisions. And for him, I look at Robert or Seager rank, it's 18th percentile in the league. But the problem to me, just like Mauricio so far in its early going, is just he's in the 32nd percentile for hittable pitches taken. So he's taking way too many pitches that he could do damage on. And I just, I don't know if that pitch recognition will ever get 100% for him. But I think he'd make such a step forward overall, like across the board, that he could just be a strong side, second baseman, third baseman for the team. I love that the hard hit stuff is completely gone up to the barrels. It's the launch angle is just up and down with him, man. He's just, I don't know if it's something too that might be a little bit of an opposition, like a team's really understanding where he does hit well and doesn't. Like the Rays just now when they swept the Mets. Thank you for inviting me on the show too when the Mets are in a 4-game losing streak. Really appreciate that. I'm not. You timed it perfectly. I'm like, here we go, Mets stuff, and then boom, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get on the mic with James, and the Mets are in the worst stretch of the season. But no, I think Baty is just just having the expectation that he's just going to be part of the team. But again, I don't know how you measure clutch, but we've gone to games, me and my wife's like, it's always Baty getting the big hits, and he's gotten really big hits for the team. So I think he embraces it now too, just knowing that he doesn't have to be a stud. He's going to try to be as best as he could, but he's just fitting in now better, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a growth year, like with just everything he's doing, like especially under the hood. I guess I was just like you so are you thinking of him as like, this is our strong side platoon opening day second baseman next year? Like, is that like sort of how you're proceeding with things if you like Mauricio at third?
Yeah, well, the thing is, James, they have a guy who's hitting like Ted Williams now, who could play second base and plays a really good second base. That's good old Jeff McNeil. So I wouldn't think like 100% locked into second base, but more of this floating role, because McNeil could kick out to the outfield.
Because like because like what you're describing just doesn't seem that great for fantasy, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Would you want him, like if you had him in a dynasty league, would you be hoping they trade him soon? Like, is that sort of where things are headed in terms of like the depth chart and just the amount of options they have? And like Jett Williams, we haven't even mentioned yet either. Like,
right. They're pretty stacked. I mean, for dynasty purposes, I would probably hope that they're going to try to move him for like maximization purposes. I don't know how much he of course they have to come in and put the chemicals on my grass, or not chemicals, James, just treat it. I don't do chemicals. They have to do it right now during the RotoWire pod, but I think
I can't hear it.
Okay, good. All right, good. I could hear it loud, so I just wanted to make sure nobody else heard it. I just for Baty, I guess you just have to think about he's a 25-year-old guy who is like, maybe the Mets just would like to see him in this kind of strong side-ish role, and it might be time to move on. Maybe if you're in dynasty, because I don't know where trade who would work for the Mets. Like, what are they going to give him up for? And what do they need? Like, what will they get that would be better than what they already have, instead of just keeping Baty in this again, a guy who could play second and third is useful in the major leagues.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Acuna, I just think the Mets know what he is. I think like he is just this super utility like guy who can pinch run, kind of like that. We've seen teams use in the playoffs, right? These highly important guys who come in, pinch run, take second base. Acuna played an excellent second short, and then he showed he could play third too. He's got a good enough arm. He's just a super glue team player who, not the guy we saw come up, right, and just rip balls when he replaced Lindor. Like that, we knew that wasn't him.
Right.
That was a glimpse of what he could be, but teams know where he's good at right now. He's another guy too who's like, I see him get better with the swing decisions. It's hard too when you're not playing all the time, but I like that he just loves his role. He comes in, he's prepared when he just steps in for a start. Doesn't show like lapses. He's a young dude, and I don't know. I just love him overall as a team player. For fantasy, it's going to be really tough to gauge, Dan. I think it'll be great for DC because there will be times maybe in August, September where you're like, man, I'm just really behind in steals, but I'm so good in homers, and you'll be able to plug in a guy like that and get you a bunch of steals, even if he's not playing your Dairon Blanco style.
Yeah, he's exactly he's just a really almost like an overqualified bench infielder.
Good way.
You want if you're a good team, if you're a contending team, you want your bench infielder to be an overqualified bench infielder.
100%. Yep, absolutely. It's just so rare to see in a young player, right? Like a younger prospect that is already so good in that role.
What about Francisco Alvarez, who maybe my most disappointing Met that I've got rostered on more than 2 or 3 teams this year. I've been benching him for I took Alejandro Kirk as my third catcher in a league where I've got Francisco Alvarez, and I've basically been benching Alvarez the whole season.
Oh yeah, 100%. Kirk's been fantastic.
So what I know Alvarez is better than he's been this year, but what are you thinking about him in terms of rest of season? Is he going to be a buy low in drafts next year? Did something happen with his approach or something a year or two ago or the injuries? Is there a reason he's not getting to more power?
He's just a very inconsistent swing to me, and teams know where he can't swing. He has a little hitch, a little loop in the swing that really makes him skeptical to high heat. And he just, because his swing path just doesn't allow it. It's an uppercut-ish swing, but it's just not designed right now to meet the ball on the plane and drive it consistently enough. And he's altered his approach too. He's also this this new swing metric that we have available. We could see that his air pull percentage is down to 10%. The league average is 16.6 in 2023. When we saw him come on the scene and really just pulverize the ball, he was at 19%, which is above league average. And it's backed up in the where he meets the ball. The swing speed is down from 2023. I just think that's a result of the consistent injuries, which may be playing into this James too, right? We don't know. That hand is taking a beating. On top of the surgery he had, he gotten, obviously as a catcher, right? He take so many hits with that hand, with wild pitches and such, but you can see his attack direction is swing totally for 3 degrees pull to 6 degrees opposite field. The attack angle is up and down. Every year the tilt is up and down. It's just a very, very inconsistent swing all the way around at each level of the swing, at the start of it, through the middle, through the end. So I think, I don't know if he's just trying new things and that's why it wavers so much, or again, comfortability in the hand. How does he feel? But for me, yeah, I'm not really optimistic for the rest of the season, just in terms of just because of what I've mentioned with the injuries, and also too, Luis Torrens, when he plays, James, he got one of the best barrel percentage in the league. If the Mets really needed to like clamp down and play their best guy, I think they would go to Torrens down the stretch.
Yeah, I noticed that with Torrens. He does have some interesting data.
And he's got a cannon behind the plate too. Nobody runs against him.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. That's the Mets are going to always prioritize up the middle defense under the current regime. Jett Williams, speaking of up the middle defense, I'm really excited about Jett Williams. Like he's still at AA, but I think he's clearly the Mets' best position player prospect. Do you have any thoughts on him at all, or is it just kind of too far down the road for you to have paid him much mind?
Yeah, I've thought about him a lot, honestly, because I just think like he's another one like Acuna, who just looked like he's already able to fulfill at least a utility role in the team, like bouncing around. Like if the Mets want to use him in different spots, obviously, we know Francisco Lindor is there. Could he be the center fielder, of the future, or is he part of something that gets a bigger guy back? I don't think they're trading him. I just love his overall. Yeah, I love his overall profile. His ability to command walks is just pretty wild. Has seen him live a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's not happy because he doesn't swing the bat, so it's not exciting for her. But it's he just really almost looked frustrated too that they weren't pitching to him.
Yeah, he wanted to swing the bat, but he wasn't gonna chase. And
100%.
Yeah. And it was frustrating too for like just ranking him as a prospect, because it's like he's just giving you so little to go on, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just so many at bats that are ending in a walk or a strikeout. And but this year, like this is kind of the Jett Williams that like I've been dreaming about. And he's still at AA, but I would guess he gets the bump to AAA here in sometime in July, I would think.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of what makes the whole like, Mauricio, Baty, do they trade for a center fielder like Jeff McNeil hanging around? Like, because I think Jett Williams is an everyday player probably in about a calendar year. So it's just kind of like, how do you make sure that you got a spot for him? I think if I were a Mets fan, I would just kind of be hoping that, you ride McNeil for as long as he deserves it, but then like maybe 2 years from now, you're looking at Mauricio at third and Jett Williams at second.
Yeah.
And you've got something nice in center field that you maybe it's Jarren Duran, maybe it's someone else. It could be Jett Williams. But like the 5'7" guys, like, I don't know. I tend to want someone with a bit longer strides out there in center field, but yeah, like he's going to play somewhere up the middle. He's going to steal a ton of bases. He's got about as much power as you could have as like a 5'7", 175-pound guy. 5'7", I think, is even maybe a stretch. Like he might be more like 5'6". But just such a great command of the zone. So really excited about Jett Williams in 2026.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait.
Now, before I let you go, Rob, you got any the people in the comments, or they took offense to your Ted Williams comp?
Oh yeah, let's go. You ready? So since the All-Star break of last year, right? I'll give you a minimum 100 plates of 150 plate appearances. And I want you to tell me where you think Jeff McNeil ranks in OPS.
Since the middle of last year?
Since the All-Star break of last year, when he came back from his injury.
Oh, wow. I mean, based on the way you're setting this up, I guess it's got to be like top 10, right?
11. I go Aaron Judge, Ohtani, Ketel Marte, Vlad Jr., Ivan Herrera, Kyle Tucker, Bobby Witt Jr., Juan Soto, Corbin Carroll, Jose Ramirez, Jeff McNeil, Yordan Alvarez, Pete Alonso. You get my drift. 901 OPS, 14 homers, and 305 plate appearances, 43 ribbies, 46 runs. Over that time, too, highest barrel rate like stretch of his career, 6%. He talked about altering his approach. We've seen it in the numbers. He's got more aggressive in the zone. That zone swing on the hittable pitches drove up. And he says he trusts his contact skills, and now he's just not looking to make contact. He's looking to actually do damage on the ball. Mendoza talked about how it's a real change. So when you hear those things from the manager and the coach, stuff that you see with your eyes and kind of validate it, he's a different hitter. So if you're still evaluating it like Jeff McNeil of old, or oh yeah, it was that happy fun ball or whatever they call that ball that 1 year, he's changed his approach and he's good enough to do it. Even at this age. And then on top of that, James, to put the stamp on it, right? He's got a torpedo bat.
Well, enough said.
I mean, enough said. He's got the icon on Yahoo. Torpedo. He's a stud. No, but I don't think people realize that about Jeff McNeil. And I've, it's funny because like I've trying to let people know about that. Even in the offseason, dives into my draft champion team. So I'm like, hey, the approach changed. He's a different hitter. And obviously, right now, taking the advantage of his utility and being able to play him in center field on some days behind Taylor has helped him. And now he doesn't even come out versus lefties. Like it's a full time player who has multi eligibility on the site. So if you're still available in some online championships, like while he's this hot, you gotta take advantage of it.
Yeah, he's under contract through next year with a club option for 2027. So they'll basically be able to have him for whatever's left of his prime, and then he'll probably go away. But yeah, it's a good call, man. You got anything like when you were kind of setting up that from like last All-Star break to now? That was like kind of when people will do like a tweet where they're like showing like a leaderboard, and like the point of the tweet is to highlight a certain player, but then they show the leaderboard, and I'm like, actually that looks like an Ivan Herrera tweet.
Yeah. I know, right? Trust me, when I looked at that, his name is, because I've been talking about this filter in the Discord through a while now, and every time I see his name there, I'm like, that's pretty impressive. You see why they're DHing him too, and he's not catching. He's been really, really good. And Soto obviously has been on that list too, and so is Alonso. And Soto, yeah, I'm excited for Soto. James, I think I haven't been the biggest fan of Juan Soto in my career. Just being a Met fan and watching him destroy the Mets, in games, but also like dance at home plate just always used to irritate me. And then he comes to the Mets, he doesn't do the shuffle, and then I get irritated because I'm like, dude, that's part of your fabric. That's part of your being. Let's do it. And he's just started, started getting more animated, started getting more comfortable. And I'm just truly ecstatic that like Twitter helped, fuel the fire of him being overrated and not as good as Trent Grisham. Just it's good that that's not true anymore. I feel good about it.
Well, I'm proud of you that you've still got so much Mets fandom that you can get irked by those little Trent Grisham jabs and stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Even for a guy I've never really been behind. But you know what? I go to Citi Field, and when he comes up and he goes out into right field because my seats are in the upper deck of right field, I'm the loudest guy for him. I'm a big believer in that. Like, you come to the game and you're booing people. It's just, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, just stop it. You're being ridiculous.
Yeah.
I want to show up to people at their jobs and boo them. I would love to do that. Hey, you put the wrong price on this t-shirt here, guy. Boo.
Well, this has been great, Rob. Really appreciate it. Do you want to let everyone know where they can subscribe to all the great content you're putting out?
Yeah. Again, thank you, James, for having me. It's always a great time with you. Pull Hitter Patreon. So go to patreon.com, put Pull Hitter Fantasy into the search bar. That's where you'll get most of my stuff. I do pretty much a podcast every day called The Hot Corner. It's basically just going over yesterday's events, news, playing time trends. I really try to capture the actionable guys, not so much saying, oh yeah, look, it's just with Zach Wheeler, another dominant performance. Really trying to help everyone fish through the can this new pitch mix or this newfound skills for a guy be useful for fantasy and for our online championship, NFBC, or just 12 team league at home kind of fashion. And I do a fab portion too that's pretty extensive. Usually about 5,000 or 6,000 words on the weekend. That's another tier up, but you just come try it out for free. You get the basic level entry. You get a week for free if you want to come try it out. You could join the Discord too, which is a really great time. A lot of awesome people in there. I think you get so much value just from learning from all of us, James, like with like-minded minds about fantasy, and just to hear different people's takes and different people's strategies. I think it's just making everybody better just hearing that. So a lot of value to be had by that. And it's a good community. We're not bags of shit, and we enjoy life. And that's what it should be all about.
Hell yeah, man. Well,
hell yeah.
I appreciate everything you're doing, and love our times when we get to hang out at baseball games or in Vegas or what have you. And I can't wait to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, me too, man.
This has been the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Go sign up for some NFFC drafts. We'll be back with another episode next week.